Advertising is everywhere. And it's constantly influencing your decisions. The clothes you wear, the shoes you buy, the toothpaste you use, the car you drive, the movies you watch, they're all influenced by advertising. And whether that's good or bad is up to you, but the point is, you may not have as much control over your decisions as you think. And it may get, okay. Let's just start again. All right. You may not have as much control over your decisions as you think, and it may be getting more extreme than ever before. Your cell phone, which is one of the most useful tools of all time, you can make phone calls, obviously, connect with people all over the world, play games at any moment. But the problem is that it comes at a price, and that is your attention. Your attention is what companies use to get you to do things like buy their products, and we live in a world where companies are competing for every second of your life. All right. I'm a student at MSU. My name's Aaron Dorner. I'm a junior. I'm 21 years old, and I'm hoping to get into commercial production one day. So I'm trying to learn as much about advertising as I possibly can. I work in the advertising and public relations department here at MSU, so I've gotten to know a few of the professors there. And I've been able to interview them and talk to them about their research, learn more about advertising to hopefully help me become both a better consumer and hopefully a better commercial producer one day. I'm really excited to speak with these professors.
Check the sound level.
Yeah, I forgot my headphones.
So you're doing, so you're gonna be editing.
Yes.
So if I stop and like take a sip or something,
Totally fine.
you're cool.
All right, so yeah, where do you want me to look? Okay.
My name's Jeff Richards.
My name is Alexandria Thrubis Stanley.
My name is Juan Mandel. I'm an associate professor of advertising and public relations at Michigan State University.
I'm a professor here at Michigan State in the Department of Advertising and Public Relations.
My official title is instructor and director. I'm the director of undergraduate studies, and I'm instructor in the Department of Advertising and Public Relations.
When I go to defining advertising, I define it broadly. I encompass a wide range of activities, and it's not easy to define, but I would say the simplest definition is promotional communication. Anything that can be used to promote a product, a service, an idea, is something that would fall into advertising.
Right side of a bus, a billboard while you're driving on the highway, or a billboard when you're at a stadium. That's, on the Jumbotron, there's a message up there. That's all advertising.
Understand that advertising is all about change. It has always been about change, but you look back hundreds of years ago and change happened very slowly. And then really the big changes didn't come along rapidly until the Industrial Revolution. That really allowed inventions to come at a rapid pace. And with every invention, there was, of course, something else to advertise, but there were also, in many cases, new aspects to the advertising.
Social media has changed the way in which we engage with our phones and with other people. And I think one of the biggest challenges that we have today is that people's attention spans are getting shorter and we are competing against a massive amount of information.
If there's a crack anywhere, advertising is going to get into it. Well, think of how many cracks there are in someone's daily browsing of the internet. There are so many places that an ad can fit that consumers today, frankly, are being bombarded with advertising.
And then as people are just inundated with information all day, right, in your inbox, your phone is beeping and chiming. It's in, then you intentionally go and scroll. There's so much information, and the human brain has not evolved as fast as social media has, to be able to take and retain that information.
And so the simple fact is a whole lot of the advertising on the internet is something that you have to be careful of.
So based on my research, what we're finding is that consumers are paying a lot of attention to social media and that we are constantly comparing ourselves with what is being posted online. Part of the problem is this idea of influencer marketing planted a seed in people's mind that everyone has an opportunity to live that glamorous and fancy life that influencers live. But the reality is that for many of us, that life is not attainable.
For individuals, social media is their highlight reel. Comparing your every day to somebody's best of their best isn't really fair, right, to yourself. And that impacts people's mental health.
The more we compare ourselves to social media influencers, the more anxiety we experience, which creates even more addiction to social media. And so this is a negative loop in which our emotions trigger us to want to spend more time comparing ourselves to people that make us feel worse about ourselves. And so for consumers, I think that is also creating irrationality in our purchasing.
It's a very real thing that we've changed society to where people will default to the computer in many cases, or to their phone, and consumers will start to think in terms of this being their world. And if in their world they don't have to deal with cash, they don't have to handle the money, they just click a button to say, oh yeah, I'll take that and I'll take that. It becomes a lot easier to spend.
Growing up with social media, I've witnessed myself and others deal with issues from spending too much time on our phones. The average daily time spent on social media for teens in the United States is 5 hours a day, which is honestly insane. And brands and influencers are really taking advantage of this. Almost 70% of Gen Z discovers new products or brands through social media influencers. Our attention is literally being sold so that we can be sold more products. The question is, as a society, are we going to be able to deal with this? It's so easy to fall into that cycle of just watching social media and purchasing products and getting caught up in this loop. Are we going to be able to break free of this?
I do think that there are dangers, but the reality is you can't turn back the clock. We are stuck with this. And in fact, it's going to get worse. The hard part is knowing how to deal with that.
I want folks that are on social media to take what they see with a little bit of a grain of salt. And it takes a level of educating consumers about critical thinking.
I think we need to be smart with our money. We live in an environment in which capitalism is, the current currency that people need to experience. And so while we live in this economy that makes us want to spend money to keep up with other people and to compare ourselves to other people, it's important to also not fall into impulsive purchasing that can lead to consumer regret.
Advertising being about change, and I will say advertising, if you're in advertising, you've got to embrace change. I think the biggest challenge today is to get out in front of that change.
The world in advertising is going to continue to change drastically throughout our lifetimes. What I've learned from making this documentary is that I've changed over the course of this semester too. At the beginning of the semester, I thought I really knew that I wanted to go into advertising when I graduated. The truth is that I still don't really know what I want to do. I can definitely see myself working in commercials and doing social media advertising, whatever, but I'm just open to change, and I'll have to see what opportunities open up to me once I graduate college. And so yeah, at the end of the day, advertising is going to continue to change, and so will we. And we have no choice but to embrace it and make the best out of it.